This is Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again, but for the first time as a pro by Frazer Clarke. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. I'm waiting to hear that said for a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine. It seems quite self-explanatory to most people, but just in your own words, why is now the right time to turn over and leave the amateur code behind after so many accomplishments?
Because some people, I knew a long time ago why I was in the amateurs. I knew what I wanted going into the pros. Going into the pros 2 years ago, I didn't quite have what I wanted. Being a pro 2 years ago, I wouldn't have got what I wanted. I've now been to the Olympic Games, which is the pinnacle for an amateur. I've achieved at the Olympic Games a bronze medal. And now I feel like as a pro now, I will get paid what I want to get paid as a professional boxer. I never wanted to do it. I never wanted to do it without the accolades for the simple reason that it's too hard and I wouldn't be getting paid enough to warrant how hard it was. But that was for me anyway.
And something a lot of people have asked, not just about you, but about a number of the GB Olympians, is why you guys, in some cases, waited a bit longer to sign up with a promoter and a management team. Was it just that there were so many offers to field and obviously you want to get it right?
You know what? I think, for most amateurs, this is GB squad and not. You go through your whole career wondering, as an amateur, what have I got to do to get recognised by a promoter? What have I got to do so this promoter knows my name? You go to the pro show and you gagging for a look off Eddie Hearn, you're gagging for a look off Frank Warren, or any of these managers, you're gagging for someone to recognise you, say your name, or they've heard your name through the grapevine, you've sparred such and such pro. In the end, I went to the Olympic Games, and also like when the Olympians, we put ourselves in a position where we didn't have to go and buy a ticket and hope a promoter is seeing out the corner of their eye. The promoter messages us and says, "Here's fucking 3 free tickets. Come down with your mates. Let's have a chat." So, and that's the position I always wanted to be in. I think the pros out there that listen to this will understand what I say when I say it's you want to get paid properly for this because of how hard it is. Like, not just that. Don't get me wrong. Going to the Olympics was something that's been in my heart, and I wanted to win that medal for my country and be on that wall in Sheffield. But also going forward, I've done this for years for free. I've represented that country not for free, but for nothing really. Just for the pride and my love of the game. I'm 30 now. Probably got 7 years, maybe. Let's say 7. Push. I want to make some money, set myself up for the rest of my life.
How did it come about that you signed with 258 Management, obviously AJ's company?
So me and 258, obviously, what people will need to understand is that this isn't like me just being like, wow, this is 258, this is Andy Joshua's company. I've known these guys. I've been training with Joshua since 2010, 2011. So then seeing his rise, and he's trained at the same place I've trained for a decade. So before 258 was even a thing, I seen that develop. Do you know what I mean? I seen these people come into the team, and then obviously I'm in the gym, and I was a sparring partner for a lot of camps. So I'm having relationships with these people anyway. And it sort of got to the stage where I come back from the Olympics, and I was trying to do things on my own because obviously anyone going professional or in the professional game, you'll know management. It's not frowned upon, but you're trying to keep as much money as you can. That was my thing anyway. All these percentages running up, and I wanted to do it on my own. So after weeks and weeks of talking to promoters on my own, going to meetings on my own, it become very draining. And then I had the opinion of every man and his dog in boxing, and there was all one would say one thing, one would say another, and this is like my head was going to explode literally. So naturally, these promotional companies, these managerial companies, was already speaking to me, and look, once again I had options, but after speaking to these guys, and looking at not just that, the CV speaks for itself. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it was a difficult job to manage Anthony Joshua and get him to where he is, because Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua, but there's still a lot of work that has to go into it. And I see these guys; they're professionals in their own field. I'm a boxer. I don't know how to speak about big numbers or speak to promoters, and probably what I was asking for and things. There's certain things that they've told me in the last 3-4 weeks of being with them that it would never come to my head. So I think it was the case of employing these guys and working together with these guys to broaden my horizons and get not get what's the word? I didn't want to miss anything. Do you know what I mean? So these guys have been involved in it, they've seen it. So you have to get professionals in your job and create a professional team to get me to where I want to be.
How involved was AJ personally? Because you guys have obviously got an existing relationship.
Not really, to be honest. Obviously, I spoke to him. I spoke to him this week. Seen him a couple of times this week. And we just had a brief conversation. He watched me train. Obviously, we're always giving each other pointers, but on the managerial side, he wasn't really involved that much. He give me a little clue and a little insight into some of the things he did when he first started and stuff like that. But which is nice to have. He's been there and done it, and I haven't. So, but other than that, he's on his own path and he's doing his own thing. My career is my career, and they're managing me. And they're also managing Big Josh as well. So it's one of them.
How difficult or challenging was it to decide who you're going to train with as a pro as well? Because you get used to being on that GB setup for so long, especially with it all being in-house as well. They've got the nutritionist, they've got S&C there. It's kind of a bit you have to put it all together yourself as a pro.
Yeah, it was difficult. It was really difficult. And I think, today I've had the email, I've had the release letter email from GB. And I'm not joking you, when I seen it pop up on my phone, I got a big lump in my throat and my heart started beating really fast. I went really hot. I'm let's say institutionalized, to GB. I've been there for 12 years, 12 years. So it was very difficult. And the training decision, I just felt for myself, I'd still say GB boxing is one of the best boxing setups in the country, probably the world. I would definitely say that. But for me, for being there for so long, I just felt like I might have been going a little bit stagnant over the last few years. You know what I mean? Probably, I was forcing myself, to be there at times. Even though it's such a good place, such a good setup. But I feel like you can just probably be in the same place for too long. Everything I had was perfect. The people that I know them, I was probably a little bit too comfortable, by the end of it. So I just thought, what, it was a really difficult decision. Obviously, after speaking, with Rob McCracken, he offered to help me, and he's for me, he's one of the best in the game. But I didn't decline, but because when I came out of the Olympics, that's the first place I went back to train and started ticking over at Sheffield. But I've been training other places over the last year anyway. I did a little bit with Grant Smith in Sheffield at Steel City and Dalton Smith, dad. He got good fighters, Sonny Edwards, Dalton, and a few others. And I was also, last Christmas, I started working with Richard Riatpour, helping him with a bit of tech sparring, and Angel Fernandez, who I've seen through the Joshua camps as well, at Loughborough University, which was a little bit closer to my house. And, I've started going in there and looking around. I'm thinking, my God, this is some setup in here.
It's incredible facilities there.
Unbelievable. And then I seen the way Richard was getting looked after there and the way that Richard was training. And then I seen the way Richard has improved. I seen it behind the scenes. Like before he had these last 2 fights with Sky, I seen him in the gym week in, week out. Like probably only once a week or twice a week, and I was sparring with him. I could see him getting better all the time. I thought, him and Angel, they've got something going on. They're doing something right. So naturally, I wanted to be involved in that. And, I don't think I've ever met anyone in boxing that's as passionate about boxing and as in love with boxing as Angel Fernandez. He really, really goes deep and delves deep. And he really, yeah. I'm sorry. And he really, he's a really good trainer. So after working with him for a little bit, it's just things are just naturally evolved. And then all the add-ons as well. So the Loughborough University, they've got the strength and conditioning side of things, they've got the nutritionist side of things. It's a proper good setup. And in the end, I think the decision came down to that's the closest thing to Sheffield outside of Sheffield that I could probably get. Do you know what I mean? And I just didn't feel like me coming from that 12 years in that environment, I don't think I'd feel comfortable walking into a normal boxing gym where, do you know what I'm saying? Like it's more of an athlete environment that I'm in rather than a boxing environment. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, they have athletes from a variety of sports there at a very high level, don't they, in Loughborough?
Exactly. So there's lots of motivated people around, but I just feel like, from where I've come from, me walking into a Peacock gym or somewhere like that, I've been in these gyms and I've seen what they're about, and they're great gyms, but it's a different environment than I'm used to. I know what works for me.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. It's early days, obviously, with Angel Fernandez, but what have you guys been working on in terms of adapting your style to the pros?
Yeah, like I think, there's I think anyone turning pro now, don't be mistaken and think that I've seen it so many times. The good amateurs become good pros, and I'm not saying I was a good amateur because, I've taken a lot of shit over the last few weeks, and since I come back from the Olympics, people have said I've not, which is everyone's own opinion. But what I did know is no matter what I did, I needed to start learning again, because I've seen, like I said, I've got the experience of I've seen former teammates go into the pros with high expectations, and they've just come up, they've just got it completely wrong. So we started working. Me and Angel started working. The thing I loved is when I walked in the gym, started working with him. There was no smoke blowing up my arse. It wasn't like, oh, you're the best thing since sliced bread. It was, you need to change this, and this. Not change it, but you need to work on this in order to make it better, more efficient. So maybe slowing things down a bit, relaxing a bit. Shot selection, defense is a big thing we've been working on. Anyone that's seen my amateur fights, I was always in humdingers and exciting fights because if I wasn't giving it, I'd probably be taking it a little bit too much as well. So, we've worked on that, and everyone knows I wear my heart on my sleeve, and instead of probably using my brain a bit. So we're working on that, and I'm learning, and that's not something that I stopped doing it in Sheffield and GB. But like I said, when I say stagnant, I didn't feel like at the minute every time we leave the gym, I feel like I'm learning something new. And I've got something, I'm walking past the mirror in my house, and I'm working on my position on my hands or something like this. I probably stopped doing that, when I was in Sheffield, just because, like I said, I was too comfortable.
Now, we'll talk about the promotional side in a minute, but I just wanted to ask, Joe Joyce, you're often compared to, he was your predecessor, if you like, between you and Joshua on the GB squad at Super Heavy. He turned pro at 32, so 2 years older than you are now, and is now on the verge of a world title shot. Do you take some encouragement from that, if it wasn't too late for him, it's certainly not for you?
I think people are clueless. When they talk about it being too late, I think they're absolutely mad, because probably 20 years ago, a 30-year-old heavyweight would have been too late. But we're in 2021. We've got the best strength and conditioning people in the world. We're built to last now. It's not like, oh my God, you get to 30, your body's in bits, you fall into pieces. Everything we do now is for purpose, and everything's done with good mind and science. And I've looked after myself. I'm all right. Do you know what I mean? I'm good to go. I've had a good break, 4 months off since the Olympics. I'm refreshed and I'm hungry. So people compare me to Joe. It worked for Joe. Joe was fine. Joe's blew him all out of the water. And I don't know why everyone, well, not everyone, but there's a few people just doubting me. And I'm thinking, if you guys were flies on the walls, and some of these spars I've been in with world champions and people on the verge of world championships, I know sparring and fighting, but you ask these people themselves, you go and ask Anthony Joshua, Dylan White, Derek Chisora, you ask these guys, what's Frazer Clarke like as a fighter? They ain't gonna say, oh, he isn't gonna do nothing as a pro. They'll tell you, I'm made of the right stuff, and I know a thing or two. Do you know what I mean? So my age, I don't think it has a factor. I feel great. I feel good to go. Do I look like an old man? Because I don't feel like I act like one.
No, not
feel
at
like I act like a 21-year-old. You know what I mean? So, so I don't. The age thing for me is just bonkers.
No, well, as I said, Joe Joyce was 32, he's older than you, and he still seems fresh now. So I don't think you've got anything to worry about on that score. Promotionally, you've obviously gone with Boxer, Sky Sports platform. I was going to say maybe slightly surprising because of the AJ258 link and his links with Matchroom, but he obviously still fights on Sky for his fights. How big a factor in signing with Boxer was the TV side of it, the platform?
Business is business. You know what I mean? That's like, I think the whole world was presuming Eddie and Matchroom, yeah, and the whole world have said people have said Eddie didn't want me, had no interest in me because I'm old. Do me a favor. We had lots of conversations. I had lots of conversations with lots of different promoters, English promoters, American promoters, other promoters, from around the world. In the end, it came down to Sky Sports is I grew up on Sky Sports. I grew up watching Ricky Hatton come through on Sky Sports. And then most recent story come through on Sky Sports, Anthony Joshua for me. That's a big one. But some of my good friends and advisors, said, look, Sky Sports is a great outfit, major player, in TV, which I know because remember, I've not just seen them on the TV. I've worked at these shows. I've worked security, watching these guys and watch what they do. And I've always thought, I can't lie and say, I didn't want to box for Matchroom and Eddie Hearn on Sky because that was the ideal situation. Do you know what I mean? That was, and then as soon as, I don't know, what was it now, a year ago, whatever, as soon as the DAZN came on and, Eddie and Sky split, it was just, I think I speak on behalf of myself and the rest of the amateurs, we're all torn now. We're thinking, God, where do we go?
Yeah.
Where do we go? Do we go here? Do we go there? After different conversations with different people and loads of respectful conversations, like I say, I've got a good relationship with Eddie and Matchroom and the people there because once again, I've worked on these shows. I've been around these people for years, so there was no odd feelings. I spoke to Eddie and I told him my thoughts, and he told me, he spoke to 258 and they had conversations back and forth, and then I was having conversations with Sky. I went and seen Frank Warren, and in the end, I just thought the broadcasting and becoming a household name. I thought Sky's the platform to do that for me. And it's not, I've only been on there once or twice, and you know what, it's not doing too bad. Do you know what I mean? I can see where this is going, and they're growing as a promotional outfit. I'm growing as a fighter. Why not do it together?
It must be pretty cool as well that they are kind of restarting their boxing content now. So you'll immediately be a focal point. I mean, you would have been anyway with the Olympic medal and being a heavyweight, but even more so now because you can be a really big fish in a big pond.
Well, you know what I mean? I think people, like I said once again, people want to knock me and stuff, but isn't this why I waited around so long for? Didn't I wait around all them years, to finally come in at a good level and be treated like, like I want you to be treated like a star. I'm not going to say I didn't. That's why I waited around for so long. That's why I went to the Olympics. That's why I did whatever I had to do and fight with 28 stitches in my face to get a bronze medal. That's why I did that. Do you know what I mean? It was all for purpose, all for the future, for my future, for my family's future. That's the reason I did it. So I set out on a mission 10 years ago to become an Olympic medalist. It didn't happen the first time. It didn't happen the second time. Third time, I've got there. I can't. I've done my job. I've done my job so far, and now I'm back at the bottom of the pecking order. I've got to climb the ladder again. I'm looking forward to it.
And when will that new journey begin? We know early 2022, but do you have any kind of more specific idea of the date?
Well, obviously, I'm not. I've only just got into Sky, and I'm not in charge. But it better be on the Carl Brook show because I've told Arthur Burton and half the world that I'm boxing on that show. So
right.
yeah, so
they've just told all our viewers as well. So
yeah, so I'd like it to be in February on that card. You know what I mean? On the undercard, it's a good place to start. For, I think personally, Sky Box Office in February. I'm training like I'm going to be fighting in February anyway. So yeah, I'm just waiting for it to be confirmed, but I imagine it will be then.
How fast do you feel you can be moved given your amateur pedigree?
You know what? It's one of them things, like the same as everyone else. In my head, I know who I can. I've been watching boxing today, heavyweight boxing today, and I'm looking at people 13-0, 14-0, and the people they're fighting, and these people are being talked about in such high regard, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'd fight that. I'd take that opponent on my debut. Do you know what I mean? No problem. But at the same time, I understand I want to get this right, So it's not about me rushing. It's about me learning. And yeah, you'd have good opponents. You might have some that people, and ah about. But you know what? Ain't that the landscape? That's what happens. We won't be the first one to do it. And I'm sure it won't be the last one. But I'm going to move at a steady pace. I'm not going to sprint. I'm not going to walk. I think somewhere in between. But we'll see how it goes. If I feel I'm ready to take steps, then I'll do it accordingly.
How important is it to you to win kind of the traditional titles on your way to eventual, world titles, assuming that's the aim, British, Commonwealth, European? Is that something that matters to you, or is it more whatever gets you where you need to be?
You know what? I've had this conversation a couple of days ago, and the ultimate goal is a world title, but I'm quite a traditional person, as people know. ABAs, Commonwealth Games, Olympic Games, European Championships, World Championships. I've done them all as an amateur, so I don't see why I wouldn't want to do the same as a pro. Do you know what I mean? And I was at a talk the other day with Tyson Fury. He was there, and he's won them all. He's done all the belts. So if it's good enough for him to go and fight for the English title on his way up, and this title and that title, why is it any different? Just because the years have changed. We're in 2021 now, and everyone wants to rush, and everyone wants to be a world champion overnight like that. Put me in the fight. You know what I mean? Let me win these small titles, because they all have meaning. They all have history. I don't mind doing it the traditional way. British title, something, British. I mean, people win the British title now, and then they just forget about it and think, we'll move on to the next step. What an honour to win a British title, outright, for a British man. I'm as British as they come. You know what I mean? Like, I've got Jamaican heritage, but I've always lived in England my whole life. The British title means a lot to me. Do you know what I mean? To fight for that and probably win it outright and bring that to Burton-on-Trent and probably go and give it to my old trainer that started me off in boxing. That would mean the world to me. Do you know what I mean? So these things count for something. But at the same time, I understand the aim is to be a world champion. But I'm like saying, I'm fresh. I ain't going nowhere. There's no rush for me. I don't feel like anyway. But there we go.
Tyson Fury, you said you were at a talk with him. Did he give you any advice about the impending pro journey?
No, but you know what? I think we had a couple of conversations before the Olympics about where to go. He advised me to go to Sky, and I've ended up there. He also, he sent me a few good luck messages during the Olympics, so I was much appreciative of that. He doesn't really know me per se. He knows of me. We know each other, sort of thing. So I was really appreciative of that. Do you know what I mean? Tyson Fury is a world heavyweight champion. You don't have to give me the time of day. Do you know what I mean? But he did. So, a nice guy.
Seems like you going to Sky is the one thing Joshua and Fury agree on.
Yeah, literally, that's what it is.
All right, just before I let you go, you mentioned how important your family are as a motivation earlier. Just tell us a little bit about them. You've got a young family, of course.
Yeah, of course. I've got me and my partner Danny. We've got a son, Trent. He's nearly 7 months. My daughter, we've just been at my daughter's 5th birthday today. Mila, she was 5 on Wednesday. So we're currently in the middle of putting the Christmas tree up now.
When you say we,
I'm on the phone. Yeah. I'm getting the eye, so I better hurry up. If your family don't motivate you, don't want to put them in a better situation than you've been in. Not that I was in a bad situation. I had wicked parents, and they worked hard. They did everything they could for me within reason. But I just want to give my babies that little bit much more. Do you know what I mean? I've never had nothing. I've had everything done for me, with love, but I've never had nothing given to me. And I want my kids to work hard, and I want them to learn about working hard. But at the same time, I want to give them a good start. Do you know what I mean? Not that I wasn't given one, but I have had to work for it as well. Do you know what I'm saying? I just want to give them that little head start that I didn't manage to have for no fault of no one. You know, my parents are two hard-working people, but you know, there's working hard, then there's being able to catapult your kids to to a great future.
Great stuff. Now, normally when someone comes on the channel for the first time as a pro, we ask for their social media handles, but I'll just check. Big Frazer Boxer, is that on all platforms the same name?
Well, it was, and now we got a little change. So it's Frazer Clarke on Instagram, and we kept Twitter as Big Frazer Boxer, just because some people, obviously, pretty much everyone now, I think I've turned into Big Frazer now. Everyone knows me as Big Frazer now, but a lot of people still give it to Frazer Clarke as well. So I thought, you know what, if we go with Frazer Clarke, it'd be a little bit easier for people, you know, just because when it pops up on the on Sky, it says Frazer Clarke, it doesn't say Big Frazer.
Oh, yeah.
So I just made it a little bit easier because people couldn't find me. So yeah, Big Frazer Boxer on Twitter, Frazer Clarke on Instagram, Frazer Clarke on Facebook. Follow the journey, you know, support if you can, if you want to, hate if you want to, because some people are gonna. It's no problem. But I'm here to have a good time. I'm going to enjoy it. I love boxing. You would have the pleasure. I will be in good fights. No doubt about it. Like I said, I'm working on that defense, but still quite not there yet. So
Right.
you ain't just going to see me walk over people. I will take a couple of shots at the beginning until I get better. But yeah, come watch me and support if you want to. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, we look forward to following it. I think it's going to be a very entertaining journey.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's always fun.
Good stuff, mate. Well, I'll let you go and help with the tree. And
better do it.
Have a great Christmas, and we'll catch up again before the debut.
Cool.